Good morning, children. CBSE has deleted some of the topics of class 12th. It is nearly 30% of the syllabus of English core as well as other subjects. So let us at first take up the deleted topics so that when you study from examination point of view English core, then you can avoid reading these lessons. The first topic in reading section, that's a note making and summarizing, are deleted. In literature section, in the textbook, which is a main course book, that's a Flamingo, in that 3 lessons have been deleted. Poets and Pancakes, that's a 6th chapter. 7th chapter, The Interview, and the 8th chapter, Going Places. In poetry section, A Roadside Stand, which is the 5th poem, is deleted. The 3 lessons which have been deleted of the non-detailed textbook Vistas. The Tiger King, which is the 2nd lesson, is deleted. Then A Journey to the End of the Earth. A Journey to the End of the Earth is also deleted. Journey to the End of the Earth is the 3rd lesson. Whereas the last lesson, that's 8th lesson, is the Memories of Childhood. So 3 lessons have been deleted in Vistas, 3 lessons have been deleted in Flamingo, and 1 poem or poetry section of Flamingo is deleted. In writing section, poster making is deleted. Besides poster making, business or official letters for making inquiries, registering complaints, asking for and giving orders, and sending replies. Speech drafting and debate writing is also deleted in writing section. So when you are focusing, keep it in mind that these are the topics which have been deleted for class 12th English core. We have already studied 2 lessons of the Flamingo. Today we'll discuss the first chapter, that's the last lesson, which is in Flamingo. This story was set in the days of Franco-Persian War. And aftermath of that war, the result of that war, what was it? German language was imposed on the French-speaking people of Alsace and Lorraine. The story highlights the dismay and distress of French-speaking people caused by that order from Berlin, which imposed German language. Now let us take up the questions which are there at the end of the lesson. And we'll try to go beyond that, what is there in the textbook, and the relevance of this theme. When people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. What does it mean? When people are enslaved, when people are made slaves, when somebody conquers their land, as long as they hold fast to their language, as long as they stick to their language. They do not forget their language. It is as if they are the key to their prison. This will provide them a way to come out of that domination. They have been imprisoned, they have been made slaves. They can revolt and they can come out and get the freedom. That is possible only when one sticks to their language. One doesn't forget their language. Because language and culture, they come together. So culture is associated with language. Now, can you think of examples in history where a conquered people had their language taken away from them or had a language imposed on them? So, some of the examples I will take up here. Some of the examples of the native language taken away from its people and imposition of the language of the conquerors. Portuguese becoming the lingua franca of Angola. English imposed on the various Celtic peoples. Spanish imposed on the Basques and the Catalans. Turkish imposed on the Kurds. Let us take up the second question. What happens to a linguistic minority in a state? How do you think they can keep their language alive? For example, Punjabis who are living in Bangalore, Tamilians in Mumbai, Kannadigas in Delhi, Gujaratis in Kolkata. A linguistic minority in a state does not have as much liberty to exercise linguistic skills as the natives of the state. They initially try to learn the jargons in order to cope with the day-to-day life activities and finally begin to understand the native language with regular interactions. So they pick up the native language over the period. But how can they retain their language? That is the question. How can they keep their language alive? At the workplace and educational organizations, English or the link language helps a lot to cope up with the work and learning process. But when it comes to understanding the basic norms of the society, in order to socialize, one does face a sort of linguistic barrier during communication. So here, this is the answer for the first question. But what about how do you think they can keep their language alive? They can keep their language alive by making an organization or participating in the festivals of their state. So they can come together, celebrate the festivals together. Naturally, they'll be able to retain the language when they keep on meeting again and again over different functions or festivals. Let's take up the third question. Is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? Do you know what linguistic chauvinism means? Yes, it's possible to carry pride in one's language too far. If one is fond of one's own language at the cost of others. Indifference towards other languages is not healthy for any democracy like India. When the sense of belonging to one's own language crosses the thin line between pride and proud, it becomes linguistic chauvinism. If people feel good about their languages and traditions, they must have tolerance for other languages too. So we must respect people speaking other languages. Everybody has the right to follow the religion as well as speak the language as per his desire. In fact, it is disparaging to distort the names of communities. For example, Bongs for Bengalis, Gujju for Gujaratis, that is quite often used by people with disrespect. Now let us go on to the working with words. So far we have discussed the questions on the textbook. Now let us discuss about vocabulary. Let us learn new words. Now English is an international language. So English is a language that contains words from many other languages of the world. This inclusiveness is one of the reasons it is now a world language. So therefore we call it as international language or world language. And all over the world, English is spoken. Now from French language, it's a petite word which is added to English language. Kindergarten, a German word. LKG, UKG, you are all familiar with all that. And we quite often use that word, kindergarten. Capital, it's a Latin word. It's a word which is used in business. Democracy, it's a Greek word. Bazaar, it's a Hindi word. And there are many other Hindi words of which we are very familiar, like sadhu. Now find out the origin of the following words. So let's see the origin of these words which have been listed here. Tycoon. Tycoon is from Japanese language. Tulip is from French language. Logo is from Greek language. Bandicoot is from Telugu. Barbik is from Spanish. Veranda is from Hindi. Robo is from Czech. Giro is from Italian. Ski is from Norwegian. And trek from Dutch. So these are the words, and there are many other words which have been contributed to English language. And the words are added every day to English language, and because of this, English has become very rich language. Let's go to the second question which is there in the textbook. Notice the underlined words in these sentences and tick the option that best explains their meanings. What a thunderclap these words were to me. The words were loud and clear. Thunderclap, startling and unexpected, pleasant and welcome. So what a thunderclap these words. So thunderclap, think over it. What must be the answer? The answer is startling and unexpected, surprising and unexpected. When a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. It is as if they have the key to the prison, as long as they, now you have to complete the sentence. Do not lose their language, are attached to their language. Quickly learn the conqueror's language. And remember here, they hold fast to their language. That is a part of it. So what does it mean? They hold fast to their language means they are attached to their language. Now let's go to the third question here. Don't go so fast. You will get to your school in plenty of time. You will get to your school very late, too early enough. Our neighbors saw him look so tall. So what is the answer? Very late? It's not the answer. So the answer will be either too early or early enough. And the right answer is early enough. Noticing form. Now let's go to this grammar question. Noticing form. Jan Hamel had said that he would question us on participles. In the sentence above, the verb form had said in the first part is used to indicate an earlier past. So had past. That refers to what? that refers to past perfect, because here it's a earlier past. So how to distinguish between simple past and past perfect? What is earlier past? That will be in the past perfect. And here had said is in the past perfect. The whole story is narrated in the past. Young Hamel's saying happened earlier than the events in this story. This form of the verb is called the past perfect. Now pick out 5 sentences from the story with this form of verb and say why this form has been used. Now remember here, when you want to distinguish between simple past and past perfect, we refer to the earlier past by using the tense past perfect. Now here in the following sentences, 2 activities of past occurring at 2 different points of time in the past are indicated. The one that happens earlier takes the had plus, that is past perfect, while the one that follows it takes the simple past form of verb, that will be simple past. So what is V3? Past participle form of the verb. Write, wrote, written. Write is V1. Wrote is V2. And what is V3? Return. Write, wrote, return. So simple past form of write is wrote, whereas past participle form or V3 form is return. Now let's take up these examples now here. I had counted on the commotion. I had counted. So I had guessed, I had counted. So he depended on what? The commotion, noise, to get to my desk without being seen. He never wanted anybody to notice when he was trying to sneak into the classroom. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. It was all quiet when he entered into the classroom. He was depending on, he was expecting that there would be commotion, there would be a lot of noise. So what is the explanation here? Let's see here. The protagonist. And who is the protagonist? Now protagonist is a student. The protagonist decided to depend on the commotion to sneak into the classroom before he encountered the quietness at the school. So he was expecting that there would be a lot of commotion at the beginning of the class. But that day it was all quiet like Sunday morning. Not till then when I had got. See here had counted, that's in past perfect tense. Now here had got is in past perfect tense. Not till then when I had got a little over my fright. So when he got a little over, that means he overcome his fright. Did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat prize days? So then he noticed that the teacher was wearing beautiful green coat which he used to wear on important days. So getting over the fright, getting over the fear happened. So the fright happened before he noticed his teacher's green coat. So earlier past, then we are using past perfect. Let us take up this one more example here. Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edge, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. Had brought. Now here you see, Hauser had brought an old primer. What he had brought? He had brought an old primer. Thumbed at the edge. That was thumbed at the edge. That was worn out because it was used often. And he held it open on his knees. And he kept it open there on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. It was all on the pages. Of the two actions, Hauser's bringing of the old primer happened before he held it open on his nose. So what has happened earlier? For that we'll make use of past perfect tense. So when do we use past perfect tense? And this question is very important even in UPSC. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone. They had gone. They had not gone. So negative form of past perfect tense here. they had not gone. So had gone. So had plus V3. Go, went, gone. So they had not gone to school more. The feeling of regret comes after they realize they did not go to school more than what they did. So they were sorry that they had not gone. So they were feeling sorry now because they had not gone to the school earlier when they were children. My books that had seemed such a nuisance were old friends now. Now they were old friends, but earlier they were nuisance. So the books were nuisance earlier, but now they all appear to be quite interesting. They appear to be like friends.